Okay. Hey there. Hi there and hello. YouTube says I'm live. Just waiting for the video and the audio and... Ah, there's a commercial. A commercial on my own pre-roll. Yeah, I mean, it's a commercial. I'm seeing this commercial, I'm not sure, and... Oh wait, there's yet another. Yeah. And we skip. Is there audio? No? Yes? Wait. Is there audio? Yeah, there it is. What? Hey, what? What? No. 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 Go brush your teeth. Okay. All right. Hey. Okay, so here I am. Good. It's the Nazarite bringing you Hebrew lore from days of yore. Taylor is here. Hey, Taylor. You have any Baha'i faith friends? No, I've never personally met that I know of somebody of the Baha'i faith. I have been to Haifa. I have been to the gardens. I know a little bit about the faith, but I dare say I have no Baha'i friend. Do you? That's an interesting question. Okay, so Sergio Jose, regarding the idea of Torah, fairy tales, and Carl Jung based on the short that I did. And he says, thank you for this take. I know so many non-religious people that have never cracked open a single holy book. I'm like, do you have any idea how much you're missing out on? In other words, he's talking about people who throw the baby out with the bathwater. And he says, general life advice, incredible stories, wisdom, and guidance to lead a healthier, more balanced, and peaceful life. For an example, he says, a pointless and made-up tradition. The quotes are in the original. He says, I'm Catholic, and many people say praying the rosary is pointless. The whole point is that you're meditating, he says, and repeating several mantras, the prayers, in a set time frame, to clear your mind and be at peace for a little while. Even handling the rosary occupies your hands with a repetitive task, which is shown to help reduce stress. Civilization, he continues, has existed for thousands of years, and over 100 billion have gone through the human experience. Learn from what they learned in their time and use it to make your life better. Now, truly, is there an argument against that? I mean, the faith thing aside, right? Because we're talking about simply the benefits and the wisdom and the knowledge that are in the Bible, the holy books, whatever the case may be. Because gaining faith is one thing, but gaining wisdom and understanding is another thing. They don't necessarily need to coincide. They don't necessarily need to be mutually exclusive. And that idea of, see, I grew up religious, right, in Jerusalem. So it really has never dawned on me to never crack open a holy book. I've been with holy and sacred books ever since I was a child, right? Ever since I was born into that faith. I was born into that path. And so he says that he knows many non-religious people that have never cracked open a single holy book. And his question to them is, right, do you have any idea how much you're missing out on? I think conversely, the question of the non-believer, atheist, whatever the case may be, would be, do you actually know what it is that you are seemingly dedicating your life to? Or is it just you being indoctrinated? Have you no freedom? Have you no sight? Can you not think for yourself or apply critical thinking? But what he says there, right? General life advice, incredible stories, wisdom, guidance. There is a lot there. I agree. I definitely do agree. So hello, good people. Hello, hello. It's a new moon tonight. We start the month of Shvat. A new moon. May it be a new, blessed, and bountiful moon. Amen. So you've been to the shrine of the Bab. So yeah, if that's where the Baha'i gardens are, right, surrounding the structure. I don't think I was inside, but I've been around, yes. I don't, says Taylor, but I'm studying the religion a little bit here and there. All right, hey, so give me some insights. I'd love to know. Robert Harrison, how's it going? How's it going by you? Chodesh Tov, a happy new moon to everyone. Robert says Catholic and modern-day Orthodox Judaism is just alike. Catholic priests and rabbis have the power. Well, do you mean that modern day Orthodox Judaism is the same way that Catholicism has always been? As far as you're concerned, Robert, there was a time when Orthodox Jewish religion was not a time when the rabbis had all the power? Or so, what do you mean? Matthew H. is in the house. Speaking of which, I wanted to give a shout out to the people who gave last live stream, or two live streams ago on Thursday night. So Matthew H. gave, Stefan Sepulveda gave, and Nordic Nomad gave. All go into charity, of course. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. Thank you for supporting whatever charity I'll end up giving it to. I thank you in advance. It is lovely. Truly, it's lovely. So, Matthew said to prove me wrong about how long it would take to reach $100. Which is awesome. So thank you again. Hey, Pablo is here. Hey, Pablo. How you doing, man? So what do you people think about what Sergio said, right? That people who are not religious, but also never crack open a holy or religious book. The association is that it's only for the religious people, right? Presumably that's what he's going for. But people who don't crack open any religious books, ever, any holy books, any sacred texts, nobody is forcing the religion or the faith or the doctrine on them, but to gain the knowledge, to gain the wisdom, to gain the experience, right? What did he say? He said that 100 billion people have gone through the human experience. Learn from what they learned in their time. Use it to make your life better. So simple. It truly is so simple. Which is why when it comes to a question of faith, that's a whole other ballgame. When it comes to a question of wisdom, of learning from people's mistakes, of learning from people's good deeds, right? There's a lot there. There's truly, truly a lot there. Okay, let's continue. Let's see if there's anything in the chat. Robert says, now they believe two different things, but the structure is the same. Well, how is the structure the same? Hey, A.M. Holland. How you doing? I lived in Holland for a few years. That was fun. Are you indeed in Holland, A.M.? Hoe heet jij? How are you? Okay. So New Dog said, right, talking about veganism and spiritual veganism, he said, I found a midway for me. If I don't eat meat for a day, then it's just one less animal for that day. I do that from time to time, he says. I did go green until I turned green and needed animal iron. So I'm just going to stop right here and interject. Yes, if you're going to go vegetarian, if you're going to go vegan, if you're going to go raw vegan, whatever dietary restrictions you impose on yourself, do it right. Do it right. Get the nutrients that you need, get the supplements that you need, get blood drawn occasionally to see that everything's okay and that you're not deficient, like grossly deficient in something. So he says, I have been listening to that voice that wants apples and nuts, and not smothering it, and not smothering that feeling with chicken fat. You may argue I'm in a spiritual comfort zone, he says, but isn't that the goal? Ultimately, it's comfort. Now, I asked him, is the goal indeed comfort? He hasn't answered yet. If the goal was comfort, why not simply live a hedonic lifestyle? Why not simply do what feels right in the moment and that's it? He says, I hope you have comfort in this life and the next also, brother. When confronted, Jesus said man does not live on bread alone. Yes, this is also echoing what God said in the Torah, right? Lo ala lechem levado. Everything that God speaks, that should make a man live. Now he says, if you had to cook for others and only had 2 fish and 2 loaves, I'd bet you would cook the fish too. So I told him that I'm glad he's prioritizing his health. As for the fish, it depends on the circumstances, and is indeed the goal comfort, right? He mentioned that being in a spiritual comfort zone. Now, as many people know, and I agree, the magic happens, whether it's the physical or the spiritual, the magic happens when you take a risk. The magic happens in the unknown. The magic happens outside of the comfort zone a lot of times. This is not to say that you should never ever be comfortable, but it says basically that you should be comfortable with discomfort. You shouldn't be afraid of living on that edge. You shouldn't be afraid of pushing yourself a bit further. You shouldn't be afraid of leaving that comfort zone, if only like as a child returning to the mother in the playground after something had happened for reassurance, to have that base where you stuck a flag and go and explore, go and investigate. It's part of the human experience. You should have the hills that you can die on and should die on and would die on. And you have the places where you're going to go out and explore. But is the goal indeed spiritual comfort? I mean, I think it's pretty much safe to say that the goal is not physical comfort. Maybe to some people it is, definitely, but spiritual comfort, is that the goal? It's an interesting question. He hasn't answered yet. Bro has a nose that could stab a toucan to death, says Nate. Amen, amen. I've got the schnoz. Definitely. What does the definition of hallelujah mean? Hallelujah means praise Yah. That's what that means. Hallelujah. James Bong is here. Daniel Camil Fuda is here. Hey, Daniel. Pixie EMP, no such thing as magic, just supernatural. Well, yeah, but people have different terms and different ways to say the same thing. And I suppose some people would say that the supernatural, or things that are above nature, the power to control nature, the power to manipulate the elements and the forces of the physical world, they would call that magic. Other people would call that supernatural. Man, what is your Messiah will come to do, says Pablo. Well, first of all, the Messiah is simply an anointed king. He will live and he will die like any other man. Traditionally speaking, the Messiah, because there may be many Messiahs, many anointed ones, the Messiah is supposed to usher in a new age of humanity, right? However, basically the Messiah, the anointed king of Israel, needs to rally the people, build the temple, eradicate Amalek, and that's pretty much it. And that person is a potential Messiah, to be sure. I agree, says Robert, 100%. Get comfortable with being uncomfortable. Today's society, people love comfort. And again, there's nothing wrong with loving comfort as such, but you should have some fire under your ass. You should have something pushing you to explore your edge. You should have something that's guiding you and something to strive towards that's outside of your comfort zone, where it's in the unknown, where you don't exactly know how it will go down. It keeps you sharp. It could also take you down, and that's a risk. It's a calculated risk, right? And you need to know how to discern and how to navigate, and that's not always possible, which is sometimes you gotta take a leap of faith. Sometimes you gotta take a leap of faith. Boots Boo is here. Face like thunder, says here. Something in Russian or Ukrainian that I can't read, unfortunately, is here as well. Good to see you, people. Good to see you. Good question, says Orion. Yes, indeed, it is a good question. About the spiritual comfort, you mean? I think so, too. Brondo says, Talmud states breaking the hymen of a child is tantamount to poking one in the eye. I'm not sure what the context is in the Talmud, so you'll have to give it to me. I'm ignorant. Definitely a Zionist, eh? Yes, I am a biblical Zionist and a modern-day Zionist. But like I always say, some people do horrible things in the name of Zionism, and I condemn those things. And I condemn those people for their actions in the name of Zionism, because not everything should be done. Ryan says, what year is it? Well, the Gregorian year is 2026. The Hebrew year is 5786. There's also the Hajari or Hagari Muslim year and the Chinese year. I'm ignorant of those. There's likely other years, right? Hindu, Aboriginal, I don't know. But by and large, the calendar, the Western calendar, goes by Anno Domini, the year of our Lord, as the Christians say, which turned into CE, right? Common Era. Daniel says you should try tea with Lowitz raspberry syrup. Speaking of which, is this hot? Yes, it's hot, but not too hot. All right, let's do this. Hang on a sec, I'll take the tea bag out. I have black tea with forest fruit. Oh, smells so good. Baruch ata Adonai Eloheinu, melech haolam, she'hakol nihiyeh bidvaro. Oh, that hit the spot. Oh, yes. Raspberry syrup. I would think the syrup is too concentrated. Wouldn't it overpower the tea? But okay. Is available in Jerusalem. If it's available in Jerusalem. Chamomile. I'm not a fan of chamomile. I only like it every now and then. Chamomile Tannenbaum? Sorry, what was that? Chamomile lemon balm tea. Tannenbaum? With Lowitz raspberry syrup. Interesting. Face Like Thunder says, are you taking a break from the genocidal IDF army? No, I was discharged a few years ago. I did my mandatory service. I did my reserve service. As for being a genocidal army, if you consider people, it's an Israeli defense force. I know people call it the occupation force, which is a bunch of crap. But it is a defense force because we have people all around us who are attacking us repeatedly, incessantly, and who want to slaughter us and drive us into the sea and burn us, where we stand. So I'm sorry, we're going to defend ourselves. As for being genocidal, that is categorically wrong because we have no intent of genocide, nor do we have the numbers to support the genocide, and if Israel wanted to genocide its enemies, it would have done so a long time ago. So the genocidal ones are, unfortunately for you people who are saying this, who are parroting this propaganda, is the terrorist organizations and the terrorists in suits that you love so much and that you call freedom fighters, and it's all good. Okay. James Bong says, if Islam gave up the Temple Mount today, would Israel even want it? I feel it would be split. How about you, HN? Good question. Well, look, the Temple Mount was freed in 1967. It was taken over and reoccupied by the Zionist occupying forces in the Six-Day War. And a short time after that, it was given back. The religious authority was given back to the Waqf. The security authority was held and still is held in the hands of the local police. So the reason I believe why they gave the religious authority back to the Muslims is because the government was not a religious government per se, and they saw it as too much trouble. It was too hot a potato for them to handle at the time. Now, I know Reb Shlomo Carlebach very famously said that could have been a turning point, but instead of showing people what you could do with the Temple Mount, and instead of showing people the glory of God, 6 days, a huge war and all of that, what we showed them is the pictures of the generals, and we gave the Waqf back control, right? The Jordanian Waqf, the religious authority, back to the Temple Mount. We gave the Temple Mount back to them. So far be it from me to know what would happen. Would we want it? Yes, we would want it. Would it be to our detriment or to our benefit? I have no idea. Because we're kind of in limbo, right? On the one hand, there are many religious folk, and I'm not talking about extreme religious, messianics, kill everybody, mainstream religious guys and gals who want to live in peace with their neighbors, raise their kids, prosper along with their neighbors. Not people who want to kick everybody out and nothing of the sort. And we have this idea of the Jewish democratic state, which is kind of an oxymoron, but a little bit of an oxymoron, just a touch. So we're kind of in limbo. We're not exactly religious, but we're not exactly secular. We're a little bit democratic, a little bit theocratic, and it's a hot potato in and of itself. But if the Temple Mount were to be surrendered to Israel today, I think there would be a great opportunity to if not build a temple, at least erect an altar, a single altar, which is allowed. Because if the people of Israel are ritually unclean, there are still certain things which you are allowed to do despite the ritual uncleanliness. Not every ritual and not every sacrifice and not every offering, but certain things are allowed to come and be brought before the altar, even if the people are ritually impure. So I think that we would take advantage of it and try to spread a message of peace. But knowing our zealot neighbors, I don't know if that would be the case, and I don't know if it would happen. Miss Shiki or Chiki says, do you have a job? Yes, I do have a job. I'm very happy with my day job, my career. It's not even a job, it's a career. Thank God that I have a career. Hebrew Nazarite, there's no growth in comfort, only in suffering. No, I disagree with you, Robert. There's no growth only in suffering. We can grow from love, and we can grow from suffering. Ideally, it would be from love, but mostly it is through suffering that we learn, unfortunately. Unfortunately, that's the case a lot of the time. Dom Ricotta says, dang, bro, nice locks. Thank you. It's just hair. It just grows like that. God's will, Sarah Julie Slam says, how to become a Jewish? Tell me the process. Well, depending on what you want to do, you leave your pagan gods behind, you leave the pagan worship behind, you take on the yoke and the burden of Torah and commandments, and you immerse yourself in a ritual pool. If you're uncircumcised and you're a male, then you become circumcised, that is, and that's it, you're a Jew. None of you are special and we're all going to die. Definitely medicinal cocaine. We're definitely all going to die. Memento mori, right? Remember that you're going to die. This is a source of great inspiration and of great motivation for me. I remember every single day that I don't know when my last day is going to be. I don't know when my last breath is going to be. I don't know when my last cup of tea is going to be. I don't know when the last hug I'm going to give my wife or kids is going to be. It could all end 5 seconds from now. I could drop dead like that from some sort of an aneurysm or some damn thing. Who the hell knows? But remembering death is something that's very motivational for me personally. Nav Sultan says, you're the, I don't know what's supposed to be there, that got deported to Israel so you can spew this propaganda. I'm not sure what the asterisk profanity is supposed to mean, but I wasn't deported. I was born and raised here, so kind of missing the point there, aren't ya? Are you Christian? No, Alex, I am not Christian. Not even close to being Christian. Jews have ethno-narcissism, Tommy says. Some Jews definitely do. Some people are narcissists. Jews? You're making such a blanket statement, such a broad generalization based on what? Based on exactly what? Ethno-narcissism. That is a crock. No. Jews don't have ethno-narcissism. Some Jews do have ethno-narcissism, and I think that is a bunch of BS. I think that is wrong. I think that is pride, arrogance, and vanity. Because if you're going to claim, right, and virtue signal and say that you're some chosen people, then act like it. If you don't act like it, then it's just in vain. If you don't act like it, then it's just empty. If you don't act like it, then it's better that you don't speak. And if you do act like it, then you know that you should be humble about it and not say, oh, ah. Because what is that? Really? Do all Jews eat kid flesh, says Nicholas, asks Nicholas. No, actually, eating kid flesh, unless you mean like a goat, because a kid is a goat, unless you mean a goat and you mean an actual child, no, that's forbidden by the Torah. Cannibalism is forbidden by the Torah. Humans are not kosher for human consumption. So no, all Jews don't eat kid flesh. However, if you're talking about a goat, it's a kosher animal, and if it's properly shechted and slaughtered ritually, then yes, a lot of Jews would partake of goat, for sure. What do you... Oh, I'm sorry, the chat just jumped. Oh, man. Okay. Tommy says, the Talmud is very racist towards non-Jews. Again, false. Some sages in the Talmud were definitely racist against non-Jews. No disputing. Definitely you're right. The Talmud is not racist. Certain opinions that were brought and put forth in the Talmud as part of an ongoing argument are racist. Definitely. The thing is that those racist remarks were not made into rabbinic law. They were a part of an ongoing dialogue, a back and forth, spanning hundreds of years. People saying things in the name of people who said it in the name of people hundreds of years ago. So it was all written down. Unfortunately, it had to be written down. But you are wrong. The Talmud is not very racist. Within the Talmud, there are several opinions by certain people who are very militant, judgmental people who did say racist things. On that, you are correct. The Talmud in and of itself is not racist. So I think you are wrong. Why is your hair like that, says Mahanur? Because I am a Nazarite. I don't comb my hair. I don't brush my hair. I don't cut my hair. And that is part of it. That's part of the vow. Why do you do Truth Seeker? I think I've seen you here before, Truth Seeker. Why do you and Christians marry 3-year-olds? Well, I've never married a 3-year-old. I've raised a few 3-year-olds. I've never married one. And again, this was something that was part of an ongoing discussion in the Talmud regarding when a lady is ripe for betrothal, for betrothing, right? For engaging in marriage. However, I'm pretty sure that even at the time that was not accepted into halacha. So even if there is that opinion that a 3-year-old can be wed, right, that was not made into halacha. So the opinion is there, it doesn't make it actual rabbinic law. And even if it was made at the time into rabbinic law for some weird reason, later on it's an oral Torah. It was supposed to be evolving, it was supposed to be progressing, it was supposed to be continuing, but because of the tragedy of the fall of the temple, it had to be written down. Because of the exile, because of the horrors of what happened there, it had to be written down. And therein lies the rub, because once it was written down, it was the oral traditions put on a scroll, put in a book, something which should not have happened to begin with, but happened because of exile, destruction, and tragedy. So the things that you're bringing up now, while they are valid, they're not valid for here and now. Do you understand? Talmud is where halacha is derived from. But halacha is something that progresses along with humankind and along with society. It evolves. Okay. What do you believe our purpose is here, says Caleb? Our purpose here is to find out who we could be and to manifest our image of God, the own unique personal image of God in which each and every one of us was created. To, as Dr. Jordan Peterson says, to speak your being forward. I love how he phrases that. That's your job, right? To speak your being forward, to be the best you that you can be. No more, no less. Just be yourself, but go extreme. Go all in on you. Don't be stupid about it, but go all in on you. Because you are here to manifest something very particular, a very unique divine revelation. You have a certain job to do, you have a certain mission to fulfill, a gift to give to the world, as David Data says in The Way of the Superior Man. I bring this up every time because it's true. And your job is to find out, your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to find out who you are and what it is that you are supposed to be doing. And there are many paths you can take, but they all lead back to that. Because it's only you. You are the one carrying the burden of your existence. You are the one going through that existential nightmare of living in this world, right? That existential angst, that dread, or that blessing, right, of being you. So find out what being you means. That's what you're supposed to do here. Now, cultivating a relationship between your creator and yourself is something that goes right along with that, hand in hand, as far as I'm concerned. Because if what you're trying to manifest is your image of God, your unique image of God, and personify it, right? And cling to the divine attributes in which he is, or she, is clothed, right, and revealed, then you build simultaneously a relationship between you and yourself, you and your surroundings, and you and the Most High Creator. It all goes together. So if your purpose is to figure out who you are and what you're supposed to be doing here, you will probably come across all of those different paths and ways of being in the world, right? You and yourself, you and your surroundings, you and your God. That's how I see it pretty plainly. But religiously speaking, Torah and commandments for the Hebrew people anyway. The reason that the Hebrew people are here is to perform the Torah and the commandments and to carry out the covenant, the Hebrew covenant. That's what we're here to do. Says the genocidal Zionist life coach. Well, Jay, I'm not a life coach by any stretch of the imagination. I'm not fit to coach anybody ever. I'm not genocidal because I have no intent, nor have I carried out a genocide. As for being a Zion Nazi, I am not a National Socialist. I'm not a racist. I don't believe in any kind of supreme race, nor have I put any people in concentration camps or work camps, nor have I tried to invade Europe or the world. And as for being a Zionist, yes, that I am. I am for Zion, but I believe that other people should live here as well. People who were here before the establishment of the State of Israel shouldn't be kicked out. However, if you're going to start a war and then lose, you might be kicked out because you started a war and you lost, so you don't get to bitch about that later. So, Jay, I'm afraid it's what? It's 1 for 4. 1 out of 4. That's not bad. Not bad. 1 out of 4. OMG says he is Israelite, he's not a Hebrew. That's what you're all missing. They are also colonizers. So once again, I'm an Israelite because I'm part of the tribe of Israel. I'm a Hebrew because I'm part of the Hebrew people. And I'm not a colonizer because Israel is the mother state. A colony would mean that there is a mother state and this is a colony. This is not a colony. This is the mother state in and of itself. This is the ancestral home. But once again, I must reiterate, it's not only the Jews' ancestral home. Other people were here throughout the generations. Other people were here throughout history. As far as I'm concerned, they are welcome to remain and live side by side with Israel in peace and harmony and love and justice and righteousness. That would be just grand in my book. But we'll see. We'll have to see. Your father is England. I've never been to England, Osama bin Laden. I like the name. So no, my father is not English. My father is a Hebrew man himself, a man of Zion through and through. Am Yisrael Chai, says Alex Berkowitz. Indeed, the people of Israel live. Your mother state is America. Your father is England, Osama continues. No, that's where we were kicked. That's where we were kicked to, but we are back in Judea. Right? I always say, my family came from Judea, was kicked out to Europe, was moved to the States, and now back to Judea. It may have taken, a couple of thousand years, but we made it back. OMG says, you're a Israel, you're not a Hebrew, you're a liar. Where is the other 12 tribes? Well, what do you mean? The Hebrew people are the people of Israel who follow the Hebrew covenant of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and the 12 sons and daughter of Jacob. And since I am of one of those tribes, traditionally anyway, That makes me a Hebrew man, an Israeli man, an Israelite man, a Jewish man, since I come from the kingdom of Judah, all of those things. But I use the term Hebrew because it speaks a lot more to, well, it speaks a lot more to me on a personal level. So, yeah. IDF love killing children, Jeddah Oak says. Again, once again, that's demonstrably false. There are some sick freaks out there in uniform who would love to kill all the children. On that, there's no dispute. But they are psychotic, and they don't represent the entire IDF forces. Also, or, Israeli Defense Forces at large. Also, I must say that if the idea was to genocide everybody, it would have been done within a few days. So once again, show me the proof. Where is the proof? And if you're going to claim that Israel is genociding people in Gaza because of the numbers, Hamas inflated those numbers. This has been proven. Their numbers have been debunked time and time again. And also, if you're going to give the numbers as the criteria, why is nobody shouting anything about the civil wars going on in Muslim and Arab countries all the time? Why is nobody talking about Yemen? Why is nobody talking about Syria when it was going on? Why is nobody talking about Lebanon? No Jews, no news. That's why. That's literally why. If it's Arabs killing Arabs, Muslims killing Muslims, nobody gives a rat's ass. If Jews are involved, oh, those Zionist pigs, oh, those apes, those dogs, look at what they did. Yeah. Let's continue here. Wow, this channel is a troll magnet, Gas 1991. Oh, you're darn right it is, and I'm loving every minute of it. I love it. The trolls and the haters give me such sustenance, such nourishment. I'm bathing in their hatred, and it enlivens me. It truly does. And also it's bringing, more people my way because of the YouTube algorithm, because it sees engagement. So win-win, right? They get to be hateful and carry on with their hate-filled existence and judge people who they don't know. And, and as an added bonus, mind you, maybe there's a chance that they will get all of the bile and vitriol out of their system, and then they will be able to actually get some positivity in there and some love in there. Maybe the vessel will be able to remain open for a little bit, and some goodness will be able to shine down upon them. Who knows? Who knows? You money-hungry disbeliever. Well, there are many things I disbelieve. I like money to a certain extent. I'm not money hungry. I'm very, very content with my lot in life. Very content. I have many, many blessings that certain people throughout history could only dream of, this included. To sit here in Jerusalem, right, on Sunday evening with a cup of tea. Is it Sunday? Yes, it is. So I am a disbeliever of many things. I don't see that as a detriment. I see that as a net positive, really. What's up, says Bethany. Oh, wait, the chat just jumped. Ah. Oh, man. Sorry, I don't know who that was, but okay. You can't convince me. I'm not looking to convince anybody, Jeduk. Jeddah, UK. Oh, Jeddah reminds me of Star Wars. No, I'm not looking to convince anybody. See, this is what you haters don't seem to understand. I'm not here to convince anybody. I'm not here to tell anybody what to do, what to say, how to act, how to behave, what they ought to do. Not at all. I'm just here talking to people. This is just a conversation. It's just a dialogue. We're here discussing faith, spirituality, religion, self-development, and any other topic that you would like to discuss. But definitely it's not me wagging my finger and saying, oh, you should do this, you should do that. Who the hell am I to do that? What do I know? JD says you're a sick fascist murderer with a victim complex trying to justify your crimes. Okay, once again, let's break that down, JD. Those are a lot of good accusations there. You're a sick. Okay, let's go with sick. Some parts of me are sick. I dare say you haven't seen them yet. Fascist. I'm definitely not a fascist. I don't think that the state is above all. Murderer. I haven't murdered anybody. Victim complex. No, I have no victim complex. Definitely not, because I grew up in Israel and I'm the majority, and we've won every war so far, so no victim complex there. And justifying my crimes, I do justify the crimes that I commit, but I don't think that we're talking about the same crime here. So, what, 2 out of 6? 2 out of 6 this time. Look, hey, 1 out of 4, 2 out of 6. You're getting better. The fractions you are reducing, right? And you're getting better. Maybe eventually, if you say enough crap, JD, you'll be able to hit like 5 for 5, 4 for 4, 6 for 6. Stick around. You may just get something right about me eventually. Okay, let's continue. Shut up, says Jeddah. Hey, man, you're the one who's on my live stream. So do the math. Matthew H. Hey, Matthew, good to see you again. Or were you here from the beginning? I don't recall. Yes, you were. But I'll say it again. Hi there, hello there, Matthew, and all of you out there. It's nice to see you. It's so good to be here with you. You've mentioned your mom's work background. I was a molecular biologist for a large part of my life. Yeah, so is she. So it was cool to hear that. Was she still deep in the faith? Yes, that's right. Do you mind sharing what your dad does? Well, he's retired now, but he was in broadcasting. He was in broadcasting, behind the scenes, right? Directing and in the directing production, he was a stagehand here in Israel. James says, do you believe there's a standout order given by Israel on October 7th? So I don't know, and I've mentioned this in a previous live stream. Certain things that are coming to light are fishy, to say the least, but I have no idea. I really don't. I doubt that I ever truly will know. I'm just one simple dumbass here in, one regular normal civilian, a chapash, as they say in Hebrew, an acronym for simple soldier, chayal pashut. So, I don't know. I really, really don't. I don't know what happened here on October 7th. I'm thinking that Hamas attacked. Now, whether or not they knew of the attack, our forces were told to stand down, I have no idea. I don't want to think like that. I really don't. But I really don't know. I really don't know. Rob says, good God, man, you need moderators. Nope, no moderation on this channel. I don't ban anybody. I don't kick anybody out. I don't mute anybody. I don't put anybody in a timeout. No moderators. It's going to be here with all the spam, with all the hate, with all the vile vitriol. It's all going to be here because this is the real world. You don't get to hide away from it. You contend with it. You go just head first into it. And that's what I'm doing. Now, true, I can't actually address every single thing that's going on in the chat, but I invite all the trolls, all the haters, all the people who say that I'm a fascist, murdering, sicko, Nazi. Leave a comment. I address every single comment. I mean, if you ridicule, I may answer with ridicule, but if you actually try to engage with me and make a coherent argument, I will respond. Right? I will. And if I'm wrong about something and you actually show me and fact check me, I will say that I am wrong, and I will pin it to the comment section of that video. So by all means, if I don't get to your comment, whether it's love or hate, whether I don't get to the comment in the chat, leave a comment. I answer every single comment. I guarantee you, you can look at my hundreds of videos. I've answered every single comment I've ever gotten. Okay. Tommy says, yes, there was a stand-down order and Hannibal directive. Well, Tommy, you must know more than others, because I don't know that for a fact. Nobody knows what happened there, and I really dread when things would come out, a cover-up, not a cover-up, it was a conspiracy, an inside job, it was only Hamas, nobody knew, a series of unfortunate events. I don't know what happened there, but everybody has their opinion, right? Opinions are like assholes, everybody's got one. So, I don't know, I have no opinion. I have no opinion because I don't know the facts. I do know that even if Israel was complacent, let's say, or complicit in October 7th, Hamas is no saint. Fatah is no saint. Al-Aqsa Brigade are not a saint. They are terrorist groups who want to make this place Muslim, pardon me, and slaughter every Jew, every Zionist, every Israeli, ever. That's what they want. And if it wasn't October 7th, it would have been something else, because they have broken pretty much every single ceasefire, every single agreement, every single time where Israel extended a hand towards peace, they shot at it. Now, again, I'm not going with one narrative. Israel made mistakes as well. But we are not the genocidal, warmongering folk that people in the West, and the East for that matter, make us out to be. That I do know for a fact. Because if we were, then we would not have been making any strides towards peace. We would not make any concessions. The disengagement from Gaza 2005 would not have been happening at all. We would have bombarded Gaza to oblivion and taken over. Let's continue. Support for Israel, says Ted Zone. And Mark, thanks, I appreciate it. God protect all those in Palestine. Peace, says Sarah Nia. Well, if by Palestine you mean the land of Israel and the British Mandate of Palestine, I agree. God bless us all with peace and love and righteousness and justice for all of us and harmony. God willing. May death, destruction, and war and bloodshed be taken away from this world, even right now as I speak these words. May it be so. We are ready. We are ready. We have merited it. We have suffered enough, all of us. We have been through enough shit. It's time to get together. It's time to pull together. It's time to make something happen for the better. It starts with justice, right? No justice, no peace. We need justice. We do, for both sides of the conflict. LOL says, do you believe in Christ and what he claimed? No, I believe that, well, I'll finish the comment. Do you believe in Christ and what he claimed? Oh, it's just the same thing over and over. So no, I believe that not Christ. I mean, he wasn't an anointed one as far as I'm concerned. He was just a righteous and gentle and humble Hebrew man who died. So he's a dead man as far as I'm concerned, no more, no less. As for what he claimed, I don't know what he claimed. I've read the New Testament once. I loved the gospel very much. The rest of it, not so much. I didn't connect with it at all, but I connected with the gospel. So I don't believe in Christ. No, I believe that Jesus was a potential sage, a potential prophet, potential Messiah, but that he died, and when he died, that's it. That's where it ends, because we do not follow the dead. We do not follow the dead. Let's continue. Fuck Israel, says Wajid Shah. See? Thank you for supporting Israel and the IDF. Thank you, Wajid. Such great people here in the chat. James says shalom. Alex says, halacha question, how do you say kiddush if you can't consume grape products al hapat? In halacha we have kiddush al hayayin or kiddush al hapat, right? You can sanctify the day 3 times with wine or with bread, and I do it with the bread. That's how. And it's also what I do with the 4 cups of wine on Passover. I do it with apple juice. That was the custom of the Nazarite rabbi Rabbi David Kohen. Halacha question. Oh, I'm sorry, we just did that one. Justice for you means jail. Zion Nazi child killer, says JD. All right, once again, let's break it down, Jay. Justice, yes, we're on board over there. For me, for us, means jail. Some people, sure. Zion Nazi, once again, we've been through that. I already addressed that one. Child killer, I already addressed that one. See now you're just repeating. No, JD, you got to bring something new to the table. You can't just keep repeating the same old shtick. I've addressed every single one of your accusations. You got to bring something new. Otherwise, it's just, baka. Nose face, says Charles Xavier. Ooh, yes, indeed. I have a proud Jewish schnoz. Proud I am of it. Been broken a few times, unofficially. Bull Shakab says, do you think what the Zionist doing eliminates the existence of Zionist? Well, you'll have to be clearer. I'm sorry, I'm ignorant. What are the Zionists doing? And what does it mean to eliminate the existence of Zionist by doing what they're doing? I really don't know what that means. You'll have to dumb it down for me. I'm sorry. Explain it to me like I'm 5. Rob says, אני מאחל לך כל טוב, שלום, אתה מזוכיסט, אבל אני שולח את אהבתי. Rob said, I wish you all the best. Goodbye, or shalom, right? Hello or goodbye. You're a masochist, but I send you my love. Thank you. Yeah, I am a glutton for punishment online anyway. Big Dick says, will us Goyim be your servants when your Messiah comes? No, there's no such thing. I don't know where people are getting this shit. It's so twisted. No, absolutely not. The Jews are not supposed to be above anybody. The Hebrew people are just supposed to carry out the Torah and the commandments and do the Hebrew covenant and perform it and carry it forward. And should there be a king of Israel, and there's not a must that there should there be a king of Israel, then it's the return of the king, and we follow the king's law and the king's rule. But our king really is Adonai. Our king is the Most High God. What Samuel told the people of Israel, Adonai is your king. Don't choose a king of flesh and blood. And I would love not to choose a king of flesh and blood, but should one be crowned and anointed and accepted by the people, I too will bow down to the king for sure. As for the Goyim being servants, that is, once again, I'm saying, a load of crap. While there is a prophecy that says that the nations will come to Jerusalem and hold the garment of a Jew and say, teach us your ways, that's simply, hey, let's go along with this wisdom, teach us a thing or two. It doesn't mean we are your servants. Where does it say that the nations will be the servants of Israel? What it does say is that God will pour his spirit upon all flesh. But anything to do with mastery or servitude, supremacy, or being inferior, I don't think any of that will come to pass. I think that that is a backwards way of looking at prophecy. I think it's a horrible way of looking at the Bible. And I think that even if such prophecies do exist, or interpretations of such prophecies do exist, I think it's there to teach us what not to do, how not to behave, and the ways in which we are not meant to act. It's supposed to say, be humble, sit down, don't think you're better, don't think you're supreme, don't be full of vanity and pride and arrogance. And the supremacy thing is awful. Who in their right mind would think they are more supreme than anybody? We're all human beings. We're all flesh and blood. We're all going to die. Literally. So who's, when you're thinking you're all high and mighty, it's like, okay, fine, but you're going to die like everybody else. So no, I don't think so at all. Let's continue here. Everyone is gay, says America's Most Wanted Man. It's good to meet you, Most Wanted. Yes, I agree. Just like Kurt Cobain said, everyone is gay. Yep, all apologies. That's right. That's right. Daniel says, did ancient Jews know that they were related to the Phoenicians? I'm assuming that depending on the origin of the Hebrews, right, there's a dispute among the scholars and the researchers, not the sages and whatever, and Torah, but among the researchers and the academics on the origins of the Hebrew people. There are those who say, no, they were in Egypt and there was an Exodus. And there are those who say, no, they were just different tribes here in Canaan who got together and took some of the different gods of the local pantheon of gods and sort of koshered them and made them into Hebrew, if you will, and rallied a few tribes together, worshipped one god under one banner, and because of that, we are related to the Phoenicians. We also know that we have the Paleo-Hebrew, right, where for a time it was the original Hebrew, the Ashuri Hebrew, the Ktav Merubah Hebrew, and then there was the Phoenician Paleo-Hebrew, if you will, and then we returned to the modern-day Hebrew letters. So, did ancient Jews, do you mean Hebrews or Jews? Do you mean Jews from the kingdom of Judah? Do you mean before that, like Hebrews, the 12 tribes? It has to do with the time frame. But I'm assuming that certain things were handed down by tradition, of course, and with the oral Torah. So it makes sense that some of them, if indeed they were related to the Phoenicians, that some of them did indeed know that. But it's not, I don't think it's something that is like a mainstay of the faith. That's what I'm thinking. Okay, let's continue. Pilar says, Jesus or Christ, I guess, pick one, dumb goyim. I don't know what you mean by Jesus or Christ, pick one, dumb goyim. I'm not sure what you mean. Also, see, this is a case where people use the word goyim pejoratively. When I say it, I mean nations. I have no negative connotation. I have no insinuation. I have no pejorative anything that is tagged on or tacked on to the word goyim. Goyim simply means nations, as opposed to the nation of Israel, which is also a goy. Israel is a goy. Israel is a nation, a goy among the other goys. GSH with a lot of lovely emojis there. I'm loving it. Matthew says early monotheism emerged in the edge case in Egypt around that time, which is interesting as those ideas might have been forced out and spread toward the people around Canaan. Yes, for a long time the Egyptian dynasties were polytheistic, and then there was one king, was it you who told me of him? I don't remember the name. One king that's known, at least, or is the more famous one in this regard, that became monotheistic and worshipped only one god. And then, well, someone else took over the dynasty, or the dynasty ended and another began, and they went back to polytheism, right? The pantheon of Egyptian gods. But it is interesting, and so you're saying that maybe those ideas were forced out of Egypt and spread into Canaan. That's interesting. Do you go to watch movies in theaters still? Well, look, see, I'm a screenwriter by trade. I went to film school and I love movies. I don't go to see enough movies. I don't. It's fading here quite a bit, and I wonder if that the same in Israel. I couldn't tell you. I can really see myself enjoying mixing bamba and jelly rings with my popcorn. Oh my God, bamba. Oh, bamba, what a great snack. What an amazing snack. Unbelievable snack, bamba. I love it. I truly do. Why is he avoiding questions about Jesus? I'm not avoiding questions, Narvzn. The chat is moving very rapidly, and I'm not able to see anything. If you know anything about the channel, clearly you don't. No, you might be new. I speak of Jesus here every single day because every other question here is about Jesus, usually the same question, and I answer it patiently every time. So if I miss your question, leave a comment. I will address it, I guarantee you. But I will give you the short version. He is a dead man. That's all he is to me, just a dead man. We can learn a lot from him, but he's a dead man. Not a God, nor Son of God, nor Lord, nor Savior, no Lamb of God, nothing of the sort. Just a dead guy, a good, righteous dead guy, but a dead guy nonetheless. So there you go. You Jew, says Mahadmugal. Well observed. Why hasn't a temple been rebuilt, says Peze? Because right now there isn't a majority of Jewish religious folk in the state of Israel, and I think that if it would be put to a vote, it would be voted against. Second of all, there's a mosque, right? The Dome of the Rock, the Al-Aqsa Mosque, and the Al-Mar Mosque on the place where the temple was. So in order to rebuild the temple, either it would have to be like superimposed on the mosque, or the mosque would have to be taken down, or, well, something that may not be the case. It doesn't seem like that would be the case anytime soon. There are those who say that we will build the third temple, brick by brick. There are those who say, no, the temple will come down built from the heavens. That didn't sit right with me. It's an opinion in the Rashi or Tosfot in the Talmud. I don't recall which one, and I don't know what they're basing it on either. Kayo Lichi says opinions on the LGBT. First of all, that there is no such thing as the community. I think it's to each his own. And you can't lump lesbian, gays, bisexuals, and trans together. You simply can't do that. What is the connection between them? There are lesbian women who hate trans women for taking over trans spaces because they're biological men. And you're going to lump them together? And I'm not talking about the TERFs, but maybe I am, I suppose. Right? And the lesbians and the gays have a thing perhaps against the bis. It's like, hey, choose a lane. Which one are you? It's like you can't lump people together. But generally my stance is to each his own. That's it, to each his own. Now, if you ask me halachically, rabbinically about the Torah and the commandments and what it says, that's the halacha and I'll give it to you. But my opinion, do what you will, live and let live. That's what I'm saying. Show your cock, says Daniel's Tattoos. Are you a tattoo artist? I'm curious. My rooster is not here right now, so I can't show you. But here, what? I'll show you this salt shaker. It's close enough to a cock, right? Here. Have you ever numbered the book of Daniel? Or are you scared of the rabbinic curse placed upon that action? Twisted image tattoos. So wait. We have a couple of tattoo artists here in the chat. If you are indeed tattoo artists, tell me a bit about it. I mean, I know a few. I've known a few in my life. Not like real personal friends close, but I dig the art. I really do. Tattoos are not allowed according to Torah, but I dig the artwork. I really do. And those who partake of it and those who do it. Okay. So I've never numbered the book of Daniel. I think that it's pointless and useless because I think of the here and now. I don't want to know what will happen in the future. I want to make my future happen here and now. I want our future to be secured because we will be acting here and now. That's all I care about. Now what? That is the question. That is always the question. And now what? Not what will be. Screw that. I don't know what will happen in 5 seconds, 5 decades, 5 years, 50,000 years. No idea. I do know that I have here and now. And while I still draw breath, I have a job to do in this world. That's all I care about egocentrically, egotistically, solipsistically. That's what I care about in that sense. As for the prophet Daniel, and as for the different numberings, it's like, no, what did he tell him? He tell him, no, seal the book, go and rest. Right? Like the Tao. Once your job is done, you rest. And that's the stance that I take on that as well. That's my position on that. As for the curse, I believe that the curse is aptly placed, as it were, because you're not supposed to be focusing on the future. You're supposed to be focusing on the future in the sense of you shouldn't be sacrificing your future for the present. You should be acting in the present in such a way that will secure your present and your future. And in that sense, I think what the rabbis are saying there, what the sages said, is don't dwell on it. do what you can here in this life, in this world, while you still live, in order to usher in that end of days in the best possible way, in the best, in a positive way, in a way of love and harmony, right? And peace among all humanity, that whole thing. And don't busy yourself with calculations. You have enough calculations within yourself. Don't busy yourself with what will happen. It's not the way of the Torah. And we know this as well from Jacob. When Jacob gathers his sons before he dies, he tells them, come, I want to tell you what happens in the end of days. But he doesn't do that. He tells them something about themselves, which tells me, don't worry about the end of days. Worry about the end of your days. Worry about the days that you are in, right? Memento mori. You're gonna die. You're gonna die. Do what you will. True question, says John YT. For a Jew, is there a difference between Abraham and Jesus? Well, yes, there's a Jew. There's a difference as far as their role. Abraham is known as the father of nations. Jesus is known as a Hebrew man. Abraham is known as a Hebrew man. They each went their own way and did their own thing. Abraham went against his traditions of polytheism, right, in Mesopotamia. Jesus went against the Pharisees and the scribes in certain things. But basically, they were just two Hebrew people doing their thing. What is the difference? There's a difference. Abraham studied the Torah from the inside out. Jesus studied the Torah, presumably, from the outside in and from the inside out. But when Yeshua was around, Jesus, when he was around, the Torah was there. When Abraham was around, the Torah was not quite there. And Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai in the Mishnah says that his kidneys became his rabbis, right? His kidneys, the organ which discerns, the organ which filters, became his rabbi, and it taught him Torah internally from the inside. So I suppose that would be a question. And that would be, I suppose that the question is true, but I don't understand the question really. That's like asking what's the difference between Abraham and every person who ever lived. Whether it's Jesus or whether it's Bob. It doesn't really make a difference. Abraham wasn't a Jew. No, of course he wasn't a Jew. He was a Hebrew. There was no Judah. There was no Judea. There was no kingdom of Judah. There was just Abraham. He was just one guy. We are all Abraham. Just one guy doing his thing. Trying to find out, what is it that I'm supposed to be doing in this world? How do I navigate this life? What is my purpose? We are all Abraham. We are all Sarah. All of us. Hi, Ami. Hey, Ami. Why do I feel less Jewish whenever I shave my face and head? Well, speaking as a bearded, long-haired Nazarite man, I have no idea. I know that it's only a physical thing, right? Hair is just hair. It's a material thing. It decays, it dies. Parts of my dreads occasionally, the wisps, they come off, and hairs. So it's just hair. The question is, what does it mean to you? If your beard means something to you, if your hair means something to you, if there's significance there, you will feel the lack. And then it's a question of the amount of focus that you put on that lack. If it's symbolizing something to you which is true and earnestly bothering you, look into that. Ask yourself. But I wouldn't know why you specifically, Hi Ami, feel less Jewish. I don't know. Many Jews are fine people, righteous people. They have no beard, they shave their heads, and they're still very good people. You don't need to have long locks. You don't need to have long payas. You don't need to have whatever. You don't need to have a long beard, or any beard for that matter. I know that, the New York Nazarite Aleph Alif, he thinks that men should have beards, and that men without beards are lacking. On this, I get his point. I've never really shaved. There are parts that I've never shaved. I shaved a few times in my teens, and that's it. So I never really... This is just the original growth right here. Except for my mustache. I trim my mustache. Other than that, it's like my first time beard, really. So I'm very, very much on board with that. But I still don't think people are less or more Jewish because of their hair on the face or their hair on the head. Even Nazarites, right? You can be a bald Nazarite. It simply says if you do grow hair, let it grow wild. But if, let's say, you're bald because of genetics or because of, God forbid, a disease, or because you used something in your youth that caused the hair to fall out, or I don't know what, and your hair doesn't grow from the scalp, from the crown, then okay, you're still a Nazarite once you take the vow. You simply are a bald Nazarite. So, yes. Let's continue. Hi, Mashlomcha, says LOXVMSI9671. Hi, how are you? How are you? I'm doing quite well. I'm doing really, really well. Jean says, so Abraham was only Hebrew, but Jesus was a Jew. Also, that's why Jews don't hold Jesus on the same level. I meant the difference why Jews follow Abraham and not Jesus. Because Abraham is the father of nations. Jesus is just a guy. That's why. He may have been a potential sage, a master, a great rabbi, a potential prophet, an anointed one perhaps, and a king maybe, but he died. And just like we don't follow Abraham and call him a God incarnate, we don't follow Jesus and call him a God incarnate either. We treat them the very same way. He's dead, he's dead. Now, some sages do say that Jesus is in the equivalent of hell. There's no Jewish hell, really, but the kind of equivalent, more purgatory-ish. Some say, not all, some say that Jesus is writhing in boiling excrement, which I don't think is the case, not from my reading of the gospel anyway. And I think that even if you say that he was a great sage and the student of Rabbi Yehoshua ben Prachia and that he went awry and he went astray, that he should be allowed to make tshuva, he should be allowed to repent, he should be allowed to return like any other Hebrew man. So I'm thinking that that's the case, and I'm also thinking, maybe falsely, wrongly, that the statements made in the Talmud, and they are, some of them, if they are indeed speaking of that Jesus Christ that the Christians are talking about, Jesus of Nazareth, Yeshua Notzri, that they did it because Christianity was gaining in popularity then, and they wanted to distance themselves from Christianity, and so they used Jesus as a way to do that, because Jesus is the father of Christianity, according to the Christians, and he's their God incarnate. That's why. That's why I would think. But why do people follow Abraham? We don't follow Abraham. We follow in Abraham's footsteps. We follow in Abraham's covenant. We follow in Abraham's wisdom. We are all one. Right? We're all Hebrews. The ones who follow in the Abrahamic covenant are on one side and everybody is on the other side. And much like Abraham, we come from across the river, right? We cross the river. We make a move. That's what being a Hebrew is. Or, sons of Evel, also a Hebrew. Crikey, is it cold in your house? Craig says. No, it's not so cold. The heat was on earlier and now it's off. No, I have a nice sweater. I just use this for two reasons. First, to keep warm. Second, because I like the funny hat. What does the Nazarite vow entail? MRS says. Well, you abstain from any gray products. You don't cut your hair. You let it grow long and wild. And if you take a Nazarite vow from Numbers, you abstain from contact, indirect and direct, with a human body, right? A corpse. But if you take a Samson Nazarite vow, which I have, then it's for life, and you can come near dead bodies. That's in a nutshell what it is. Mr. Bartimisulo, what do you think of Karl Marx's essay on the Jewish question? I haven't read it. I'm ignorant, so I don't know. Can't answer. Pardon me. Can't answer, unfortunately. Player Game Play No Commenta says, why do you think your beliefs are the truth over all nations? I don't. Why do you assume things that I have never ever said? And over all time's history, way before your religion. I don't personally think my beliefs are the truth. I don't believe in an absolute truth. I believe the only absolute is the Most High God, which is imperceptible, inconceivable, unknowable, untouchable, unfathomable, unthinkable. So I have no idea what you're talking about. As for why some people think that their beliefs are the truth over all others, presumably because they don't know anything else. Presumably because they want to feel better about themselves. I truly think that my beliefs are just like anybody else's beliefs, which is a bunch of crap. That's what I think my beliefs are. As for the truth, no, the absolute truth is beyond me. The absolute truth is beyond me. The subjective truth, that's something that I could get into. I definitely don't think that my truth or belief is better than any other nation, any other person, so I'm the wrong guy to ask, player. You should ask somebody who actually holds those beliefs about their beliefs, and not me. Sorry to disappoint. This dude's a Rick and Morty character. Yeah, you darn tootin' right. Wubba lubba dub dub! My name is Jeff Weiner. Are you indeed a whiner? I notice it's whiner without the H. But can you also whine while you make wine? Incidentally, if you are an actual whiner, or wiener for that matter, I can't drink the wine from your wiener, you whiner. Okay, let's continue. Hello, sir, says Normal Channel. Oh, well, you have no business here, Normal Channel. Why be normal? But we'll continue anyway. Pressing on. Hello, sir. Jew, Christianity, and Islam all believe in Prophet Abraham. So what is the difference between Jew and Islam? Well, the Muslims believe, as far as I can tell, that Muhammad was the final prophet, that the Quran was the final revelation. They also, if I'm not mistaken, believe that the covenant at the binding was passed down from Abraham to Ismail, as opposed to Isaac, which is what's written in our Torah. So there we kind of split. Now, regarding believing that Abraham was a prophet, on that we can all agree, but there definitely is a difference between the Hebrew faith, the Christian faith, and the Muslim faith. Definitely, many, many differences. Now, we do all arrive at the same root, and we arrive from the same root, and hopefully, we will be able to understand that about each other and find peace and find solace with each other and comfort and build bridges towards understanding and some common ground before we rip each other to shreds. There are billions of Muslims, billions of Christians, right? The Christians and the Muslims are a few billion, and 15 million Jews. We need to make peace with each other. That's what we need. That's what we need. Are you Arabus? I don't know what an Arabus is. Isn't that a type of mint? Yes, I think it's a type of mint. I'm not an Arab. I am from the Middle East, but I'm not an Arab, no. What are your thoughts on Messianic Jews, says Norvizin. Well, I've had many dealings with Messianics online and offline. More online, but offline I have as well. I had a study partner in the Netherlands for over a year, and we used to study Mishnah together. I've mentioned him in the past. We had a great ongoing dialogue, and my thoughts are that if they believe that Jesus was Messiah, that's great. I simply believe that his reign ended when he died, and they don't. If they believe he is a God incarnate, that's already something that the Torah says that's a hard line, and that's a no. But if you're going to believe that he was a Messiah, okay, fair enough, he was a Messiah, but then he died. So that's what are my thoughts? My thoughts are that they are Jews who believe that they should follow in the footsteps of a dead man, and that it's a little problematic, but it's not as problematic as thinking that there is a God incarnate, a God in flesh. If they think that Yeshua was actually in flesh a God, then they are no longer Jews, because the Hebrews, right, the Jews, have their Torah, where God says through Moses, remember, you saw no image, you only heard the revelation of a voice, right? No man shall see me and live. Lo yir'ani ha'adam v'chai. And so, there is no God in flesh, there is no revelation of a God incarnate, not to the Hebrews anyway, far be it from me to say to other nations who claim that there is, but if you're going to say that you're a Jew, if you're going to say that you are picking up the yoke of Torah and commandments and following the one Hebrew God, it means that there is no other God, and it means that there is no God in flesh. That's what that means. As for thinking that he was the Messiah, fair enough. Believing that he will make a comeback, I can even go with that, because in some prophecies it says that, like in Ezekiel, 37, with the two sticks, the two pieces of wood, right, that David will be king again. Now you could say, no, it's just an allegory, it's just meant to say that it will be from the house of David, right, a ruler from the house of David, not actually David, but Messianics would probably look at that and say, no, it's actually David, and that means Jesus. So, again, if you're looking at the prophecies, as far as I'm concerned, all of the prophecies, all of the scrolls, all of the writings, all point back to the 5 books of Moses. And the 5 books of Moses clearly state no God in flesh. No God in flesh, and that's where we split. So yeah. Quran is not a remake of the Bible, whoever said that. Well, I didn't say that, but somebody may have. I know that there are some stories that coincide with a little bit of a difference. I know I've never read the Quran. I will at some point, no doubt. But I have no idea. Hi, Ami says, my father's family is Jewish from Haifa. My mother converted to marry my father. Am I really Jewish? You are 100% Jewish. You're Jewish biblically by your father. You're Jewish halachically, rabbinically by your mother. So you're Jewish, um, pardon me. You're definitely 100% Jewish. You are more Jewish than Jewish, my friend. Shiva says, what are your thoughts on Hindu Buddhist philosophy if you have studied them? Well, I have not studied them, but this question comes up a lot, a ton. So, as I always say, I'm a fan of Prince Siddhartha Gautama Buddha. I think he was a great man who had a lot of wisdom. I'm a fan of some of the things that the Hindu sages wrote in the Vedas, but I have not studied either one of those intensively. Only very, very, very level, at the surface level. And from what I've gathered, there's a lot of wisdom there that I can use, but I don't follow in the matter of faith. In the matters of faith, I stick to the Torah. In the matters of wisdom, I pick and choose from anything and everything all the time. And I've picked certain things from the Buddha, and I've picked certain things from the Vedas. I just simply believe in the one Hebrew God. So yeah. Is there a green screen behind you? No, no green screen. Why do you ask, rolling lad? Shalom, says Rumador. Shalom to you. Hello. Let us continue. Narvin says, what about Rabbi Yitzchak Kaduri's writing Yeshua to be the Messiah? Kaduri is with a kaf, not with a kuf. I think that was something that was debunked. If I'm not mistaken, that did not happen. Look into it, because I think that I did do some research on this years ago, because someone else asked me years ago, and I don't think that happened. I think that has been debunked. But either way, even if we do claim that somebody is Messiah, he's just a king. He will live and die like every other king that has ever stood for the houses of Israel or Judah or the unified kingdom. It's just a man, a flesh and blood human being. He will live, he will reign, he will die. That's it. And we will arrive together at the fruit of the tree of life to partake of it together and be resurrected together. Death came into the world in Eden. Death will be taken out of the world in Eden. And we were there together as one in the bodies of Adam, as it were. We will be there as one human race when we arrive together in love, in togetherness, in brotherhood, to fulfill our mission and begin humanity phase 2, partaking of the fruit of the tree of life. But the Messiah, I don't concern myself with Messiah. I don't busy myself with Messiah. If the king shows up and he proves he is worthy, rallies the people, brings peace, hopefully through love and not through war, brings peace, then we can crown him, we can anoint him, we can accept him, we can rebuild the kingdom, right? But it's not a necessity, it's not a must. People make such a big deal of Messiah. Oh, the days of the Messiah. Oh, the Messiah. Oh, when Mashiach comes. I don't need Mashiach. We don't need the Messiah. We need to rally ourselves if we can do it. We need to personify and manifest the image of God that is unique to each and every one of us personally. We don't need a king for that. We don't need a temple for that. We don't need ritual worship for that. We need to be good people, follow the Torah if you're Hebrew, follow the commandments. That's it. That's what it comes down to. Literally. Okay. Steve says, what you believe in is just sheer coincidence. Where you are born is what makes your God. Yes, I'm inclined to agree. A lot of what you believe and indoctrinated into, right, what you're indoctrinated into, the things that your parents do, the things that your, right, nature and nurture, is definitely a product of where you grow up and the society that you're part of course, of course. I took the time when I was a teenager to question everything and to start from scratch as if I don't know my faith and learn a few other things about other faiths in the region. So I arrived back at the footsteps of the Hebrew faith, back to the Torah, after doing my own soul searching. Now, I was a teenager, so I didn't have the ways and means and resources to do, but intellectually, I did. So I know what you mean. It is indeed a factor of where you were born into, the family, and all that, of course. But we are still human beings. We have free will, according to some people. And we are able to ask questions. We are able to push back. We are able to think critically. We have an amazing mind, a wonderfully obscure and weird-ass psyche that a lot of which we don't even know and are aware of. So, yeah. Nice hat, says James. Thank you, I appreciate it. Steve says, thank you for your response. Thank you for answering us. It's lovely to answer. Thank you for questioning. Samson was a Nazarite, Cobra says. Yes, I am a Samson Nazarite myself. Chai says, no religious person follows religion to be a good person. Are you kidding me? Where are you getting that from? What kind of a broad statement is that? I believe that to be false, but go, you do you. They do it out of fear. That's why religion is full of evil people. If you want to be good, just be good. Well, Chai Boba, I'm inclined to agree with with the latter part. If you want to be good, just be good. The thing is that religion, and I'm again making like you a broad statement, religion offers a discipline, a path, a way, right? Something where you can be apprenticed, right? You can follow a path, a way, a kind of, you can take on a yoke, a burden. You can think of outside the box of your own being, be part of a community. And in that sense, religion gives you something that you alone cannot do. Spirituality is between you and the Most High God. Nobody's disputing that. Religion has its benefits, and they are great. I don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, despite all of the horrible things about religion, despite the evil, as you put it, despite the evil that is in certain religions, or in any religion for that matter. There are evil people, judgmental people, people full of fear, who project their fear and their insecurities and their hate and their guilt onto everybody around them, and they make life a living hell, all in the name of God. How awful. How terribly sadistic. Yes, I'm inclined to agree with you. If you want to be good, just be good. But as somebody who's been more religious, less religious, took a step in, took a step back, I'm inclined to agree that eventually you are correct. If you want to be good, just be good. But I will say that organized religion, despite all of its false insufficiencies and horrible things and evil things about it, there are ways, and this is why I pick and choose. I pick and choose everything, and I make no apology. I'm a man of cafeteria faith. I pick and choose everything for this precise reason, because I don't want to do it out of fear. I want to do it out of love and kindness and wonder and awe. And that's why I'm not raising my kids religious, because I don't want them to be afraid of God. I want them to have a loving and open relationship with the Most High. I don't want them to ever feel like their Heavenly Father is disappointed in them. They get enough of that from me, huh? And I'm also trying to work on that. But that's part of why I don't raise them religious, even though I grew up religious, even though many would consider me religious. I'm not raising them religious, because I don't want them to be fearful, as in the negative way. I want them to feel awe. I want them to feel love. I want them to feel the embrace of the divine revelation among them. I want them to walk before God, like in Eden. That's what I want. Most religions preach door to door, says Big Grape Fan. Hey, well, don't say that to a Nazarite. Ha ha ha. I am a fan of grapes, I just don't partake of them. What's wrong with being afraid of God? Nothing is wrong per se, but there's a negative fear and there's a positive fear. The negative fear is, oh my God, I'm going to be punished. Oh no. The positive fear is like a child and his father. Oh my God, I don't want to disappoint my pa. I want to do right. I want him to be proud of me. And I fear of acting in a way which will negate that. That is positive fear. What's called yirat haromemut, right? The fear of awe. And then there's the fear of punishment. The fear of punishment can cause you to throw everything away, because you're saying, wait, let me get this straight. You created me. You gave me the genetics. You gave me my own insufficiencies and hang-ups and the compulsions, the shit I need to deal with, and you're going to judge me for it? Screw you. I don't need to be afraid of you. You created me. It's all on you. So fear of God, when misplaced, can cause people to completely leave it all behind. Fear of God in positivity, in wonder, in awe, that is properly placed, can elevate you and give that extra spice in your life that you won't necessarily get from anything else, because there's an ideal that you're shooting for, right? There's a mission that you need to fulfill. And that awe, that fear in the positive sense of the word, is an amazing thing. So, it's not that there's something wrong with it. People do the wrong thing with fear. That's what I'm inclined to say. So that's what might be wrong with being afraid of God. That's what I have to say about that. Amen, says Fallen Off so lucky. Hey, good to see you again, Fallen Off. Fallen of, my mistake. Anavan, he sounded like date, though. I sound like a date? I have a few dates here. Shiva says, thank you. As a Hindu, I found knowledge in Jewish knowledge too. You are very humble and educated. No, I'm not an educated person. Don't make the mistake of thinking that I'm an educated man. I am not a rabbi or a scholar or a sage or an educated man or, a learned man. I'm very ignorant about most things in the world. There are a few things that I like to learn and gather knowledge on, but on many things I am too ignorant for my own good. What are your thoughts on Christians, says Oscar Wenka. My thoughts on Christianity? Nowadays, I have things to say about before. Nowadays, do your thing. Do your thing. That's it. Leave us to do our thing. You do your thing. Those are my thoughts. You don't believe in Christianity. No, I don't believe in it, but I'm not against those who do believe in it. Go for it. You want to be Christian? Be Christian. Do you like Manus Friedman? So I don't follow him very closely, but the things that I have heard him say have resonated, and I'm like, yeah, there's definitely something to that. So I don't know if everything that he says is cool, but yeah, certain things he says are definitely cool. With many flags of Palestine. People, the flag of Palestine was invented in the 1960s. Until then, there was no flag. It's an identity, it's a whole heritage that was invented. The people were here. Let's not have any two ways about that. The people were here. But they named them Palestinians after the British Mandate of Palestine, and there really wasn't any, there's no P in Arabic. The Romans named the region Syria Palestina to make the Jews forget about Judea. Did not happen. To wit, here I am, from the kingdom of Judah, back in Judea. So the flag is just an invention of the last 60 years. The people were here. They deserve to stay here and live in peace with their neighbors. That's me. They should not want to annihilate me. Sadly, they do. So we need to fight this ongoing war. But I'm definitely, if there were people here who were not Hebrews, let them stay here. Let them thrive here. Let them prosper here. Let them not start war. Let them not wage battles constantly. Are you in Israel, dude? Yes, I am, room door. I am in Jerusalem, even right now. When was Israel invented? So the state of Israel was established in 1948. Israel was invented about 3,600 years ago or so. Now, Isaac and Jacob and Abraham predate that. That's closer to 4,000 or 5,000, depending on who you ask. But Israel was invented. It was first called Eretz Yisrael in the writings of the kings, and that was 3,000 years ago, right? 3,000 years ago was the dynasty of David and Solomon in Jerusalem, where I sit right now. And we know this because there have been coins and things found from a bit after that time. Definitely from the Second Temple era. People also say from the First Temple era, albeit less, because so many wars took place and exiles and whatnot. Things built upon things, the bedrock, blah, 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 blah. Archaeological digs and excavations. So Israel was invented thousands of years ago. And even then, the people who were in Israel were not all from the tribes of Israel. And when they could make peace, they made peace. When they waged war, there was war. There was the first conquest of Israel by Joshua and the army. It took 13 or 14 years. Not everybody was conquered. With some of the enemies around us, we made peace. With some of the enemies around us, we subjugated them and took them over, and they paid us tax. And in some cases, there was still animosity. And in some cases, like with the Philistines, there was an ongoing battle, like the Aramim, right? What are they called? The Aramites? The Aramites, it was an ongoing battle. So yes. Jerusalem is amazing. Yes, it really is amazing. Truly. Ahmad says, you have a very good Arabic accent. Are you originally from Yemen? No. Anna mish min Yemen. I am not from Yemen. You eat my shit, says Zahartinem. No, I never... Look, I've handled a lot of feces in my life. Raising 4 boys, you're going to handle all kinds of shit. I've never been tempted to taste any of it. I've never been tempted to taste mine or my woman's or my friends or my family, extended family. So to think that I eat your shit, I just don't see it happening. Now, Maybe if you prepare it as a kind of delicacy, put some maple syrup on there, it still is not the most kosher thing in the world. I'm going to say no. I'm going to say no. But I appreciate the offer to eat your shit. I do. Truly. Okay. YouTube says if a person chooses to abandon God or to cease living in accordance with the divine order because of fear, this suggests that what they experienced was never reverence but anxiety. I'm inclined to agree. Now, I'm not going to judge people who become sort of mentally unbalanced. I'm not going to judge people who go through all kinds of religious trauma, and plenty of them exist. Some people have religious guilt that festers inside of them forever, even after the religion is way back in the rearview mirror. The religious guilt haunts them. That is awful. That is part of what I'm trying to spare my kids. Now, it does suggest, and that's the key word here, such behavior does suggest that it was never reverence, but anxiety. I'm inclined to agree. That is probably correct. But there are so many different factors involved, and the psyche of the particular individual in question. So you're making a blanket statement, and I kind of am saying, okay, I hear what you're saying, YouTube in motion. I'm inclined to agree. I'm inclined to agree. Fallen says, I respect that you take on the hate right along with genuine questions. Respect. Hey, what am I going to do? Am I going to hate them right back? That's going to achieve absolutely nothing. I'll take their arguments if they're actually making arguments, and I'll take the ridicule, I'll take the hate, I'll take the vitriol. It's just them typing on a keyboard. That's all that it is. So I'll take it, sure. It gives me strength, it gives me sustenance, it gives me nourishment, it gives me more views. So what do I care? Also, like I said, an added bonus is the possibility that when they're finally done with their keyboard diarrhea, they'll take a moment and step back and think and go, oh, maybe I don't feel like that after all. But we'll see. Okay, let's continue. What are your thoughts on the Druze religion and community? Answer me, Jesus Christ, says Narvzn. So I've served with Druze in the army. They seem like stand-up folk. I know that their religion is kept very secret, which is something I definitely can get behind. I understand why they would do that. They are people who are trying to make it here. A lot of times they get the raw end of all kinds of deals, right? Because they sort of are breaking away from Islam, but not really breaking away from Islam. They're in Israel, but they are also in Syria. It's like sometimes they really do get the raw deal everywhere they go. They don't get enough respect. They are only remembered, if something happens, like when the Hezbollah targeted them and when people in the Druze in the IDF die. But from my just own personal experience in mandatory service and in reserve duty, I found them to be hardworking, respectable individuals who just want to live side by side here in peace. So that I respect a great deal. Better than war. Peace is better than war. News, the papers are now saying that. Living in Jerusalem seems alien to me. What is it like? Well, it's like living in any other urban area, but it is steeped. There's a vibe here. There's a vibe here. There's an electricity here. There's a great tension here. It's like Jerusalem is like an antenna that is always broadcasting, always, and a vessel that is always receiving, always. The static, the spiritual static. It's not even static. It's just spiritual communication all the time. And you have Muslims and Christians and Hebrews, and you have the Baha'is, and you have Rastas, and you have foreign workers from China and from Thailand and from India and from the Philippines. It's just a mishmash of people. And it's a religious city, it's a secular city, it's got some of the best universities in the world by some measure. And you also have some of the most close-knit, closed-up, ghetto-like Orthodox religious, communities in the world. All of it existing together. It's an amazing city. I wouldn't trade it for the world. It is a wonder to live here and raise my children here and to grow up here. How many kids do you have? I've got 4. Fukes says, you won't take my questions about the Talmud, though. Fukes, once again, it's not that I'm seeing it and ignoring it. This is the first time that I'm looking at your name on the chat, because the chat is moving very quickly, and I can't see every single thing. Please don't think I'm ignoring things. And if I do end up ignoring your question, because I don't see it on the board, then please leave a comment. I answer every single comment I get. Incidentally, it's been an hour and a half. I'm just going to take a quick break to say thank you. Thank you, good people. Those watching now, those watching later. The subs, the likes, the views, the hate, the love, the hugs, the vitriol. I take it all. I embrace it with open arms. The people who are trolling, the people who are hating, the people actually engaging. I love it. I thank you for your kind attention, for your gentle encouragement. I don't take it for granted that you take time out of your day, out of your night, out of your weekend, out of your life to listen to my rants, ramblings, and raves. I hope it is of some value, and of no value of actual value, some entertainment. Because eventually it's just me, we're just talking, that's all that this is. I'm not better than anyone, I don't know more than you, I'm just trying to figure things out, and doing it here with you, raw, live, streaming from Jerusalem, is amazing. It's no short than a miracle, and I don't take it for granted that you're here with me, and I'm, pardon me, I'm getting over an allergy, hence the coughing. And now let's continue with the chat. Let's continue. Narves says, I think Israel needs to stop... Oh, wait, whoops, the chat just jumped. Israel needs to stop sending weapons to Azerbaijan and start helping Armenia. It's disgusting what the government have been doing. Israel doesn't need Turkey friendship either. So yes, there's a ton of munitions and ammo and weapons and whatnot that Israel sends. We have a very robust military industry. And part of the accusations that are levied against Israel outside of the conflict in the Middle East is, why are you people, the government rather, why is your government aiding wars going on in other places? Why are you actually cultivating conflict and aiding sometimes leaders who are not kosher, let's say? Why are you helping these people stay in power, fight their battles, and you know, with weapons that have Hebrew on them? That is a just question. There is justice behind that question. I don't know the answer. I don't know. I'm assuming it is to make money. I'm assuming that it is to be in good standing with other countries or nations to which we provide these weapons or technologies. I don't know. Now, in areas where there is no conflict, then it's just, you know, armies supplying armies, intelligence supplying intelligence, and I guess that's all well and good. That's industry. The weapons industry, the firearms industry, the munitions industry is booming. There's war all the time. It's one of the most, sadly, one of the most profitable things in the world. What makes the difference between rich and poor? War. However, the times and places where Israel is actively supplying weapons to ongoing wars, it's difficult for me to stand behind that, and if it were up for a vote, I would vote against it. And if people would say, oh, but you don't understand, the budget of Israel hinges on... I'm willing personally to take some sort of a pay cut in order for that not to happen. I'm only one man. That's the only thing I can do. So if you put it to a vote, I'll vote against it. If you say that it needs to come out of my pocket, I would let it come out of my pocket to some degree. I don't know. We'll have to see, right? Case-by-case basis, I suppose. But I do think that it's wrong to supply conflicts that are wrong. And maybe every conflict is wrong. I don't know. So those are my thoughts on it. And you're saying that Israel needs to stop sending weapons to Azerbaijan. And I'm going to say, if that's a place where it needs to stop, where the war needs to end, then Israel... Look, I'm just one guy. I don't know. I don't have the knowledge, the behind the scenes. I don't have such a wide scope. I don't know really what goes on behind the scenes there, what Israel gets or doesn't get from Azerbaijan. So I honestly don't know what to tell you. I think it's a shame. I do. And I think that if it were up to me, I would take a pay cut in my salary in order to do my part in not having to sell munitions to foreign powers actively engaging in unjust warfare. And then it calls into questions, what is just warfare, what is unjust warfare, and I don't know these things. I'm just one simple dumbass in the Middle East. However, I understand that that should not excuse me from doing something about it. which is why I'm saying that I would be against it. If you put it to a vote, I'll vote against it. And if you say that I need to take a pay cut, I will take the pay cut. That's the only thing I can do, really. But that's what I would do. I genuinely think that. You are a dumbass, says Vic versa, or vice versa. Yes, I definitely am a dumbass. I am one of the biggest and most prolific dumbasses you'll ever meet. Why do you look like a Jew, says Cyber Potato. Love the name, Cyber, because I am of the kingdom of Judah, living in Judea. Hello, Jew friend, I am Muslim. Salam alaikum, Nabil. Allah ma'ak. God be with you. I'm curious, sir, says Oscar Wenka. Why can't Jews and Muslims eat pork? Well, I can't speak for the Muslims. The Jews have what's called kashrut, which is clean eating. Certain animals we are allowed to eat, certain animals we are not allowed to eat. The animals that we are allowed to eat need to be slaughtered in a certain way. The blood must be covered. Parts of the animal we are not allowed to eat, even if it is a clean animal. You are what you eat. And so we believe that clean eating is, what's the word I'm looking for? Conducive to clean living. That's basically it. That's also why I'm vegan, right? Clean eating is conducive to cleaner living. Shalom Achi, says Telkan. Shalom, shalom to you. Salvation, says Stoner Connection, comes by grace through faith. Good works follows as a natural expression of that faith. All right, so here's like an answer to someone who said that be good without religion. That's one rebuttal. Empowered by the empowered by the Holy Spirit, not as a means to earn God's favor. Yes, I'm inclined to agree. I think we mean different things when we say Holy Spirit because I'm not a Christian man. But I do agree. Salvation comes by grace through faith, but also, according to Torah, through the Torah's commandments. The Hebrew faith, the Jewish faith, is a Torah of doing. It's not about faith. You don't need to believe, according to some anyway. You just need to carry out the commandments. It's almost a technical thing. But in doing so, you make yourself part of something that is outside yourself, something that is bigger than you, something that is grander than you, something that is beyond you. Right? It's the finite achieving the infinite through the collective. It's the finite cleaving to the tree of life through the works of the Torah, through the dealings and doings of the commandments. So more like guidelines, says James? The code is more like guidelines than actual rules. Welcome aboard the Black Pearl, Miss Turner. Guidelines. Well, look, the Zohar very famously calls the commandments advice, etzot. Not mitzvot, which is commandments, like injunctions, but etzot, advice. In other words, when you decide to make a connection, a plain, simple connection between you and the Most High God, and you go with that as the backbone of your life, I want to get closer to God, I want to be a good person, I want to manifest the image of God in which I am created in fullness, then a lot of things will come to you. If you go with it with humility, if you go through it with righteousness to the best of your ability, all good things will come to you. Yeah, you could argue this world, the next world, and what it all means, but salvation by grace, Christians think like that, I know, but no, salvation by doing the job. Salvation by keeping the commandments, keeping to the Hebrew covenant. That is what saves a Hebrew person. He eats Muslims for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, says John China. No, I've never eaten a Muslim. I've never eaten a Jew or another man or woman for that matter. Now look, to call them guidelines, I'm loath to do that because they are commandments. But I will say that for me they are guidelines because I pick and choose, all right? I'm a cherry picker. I cherry pick everything and I make no apology. And in that sense, dang right, yes, guidelines. The thing is that the things that I do choose to keep religiously or not religiously, it's like I've lived long enough as a Jew and long enough as a religious Jew and long enough as an Orthodox Jew to know precisely why I'm doing what I'm doing. Now, I'm also open to change, right? My mind is still relatively open. I'm open to experience. What did Jim Rohn say, right? He said, welcome all experiences. You never know which one will be the one that turns everything on. Welcome all experiences. So I'm on board with that. On the other hand, it's like the Torah says, no, don't put yourself in a position where... don't put yourself in a dangerous position just to prove a point if you can avoid it. No. If if it's a hill that you're dying on, then go with it in righteousness and weather the storm. But don't put yourself in a bad position, because if you're in a bad place if you're in the wrong place in the wrong time, all of the righteousness, all of the heroism, all of the benevolence in the world won't save you, because there is an element of randomness to creation. We are living here in a world of good and evil, and that means that there's a place for both, and you could be really good and suffer a very evil fate. I mean fate in this world, not necessarily in the other spiritual realms and whatnot. So, the commandments, right? Perform the commandments. Will you dance again, says Akimbad. Yeah, watch me. Dancing. Okay. So yes, I will dance again. You should leave Judaism and just be a good atheist, says Chaiboba. Yeah, look, some people might say that. But I'm saying no. I've learned in my life, and from experience, that there is a nugget, a huge nugget of truth and righteousness and humility in the Hebrew faith, in the Torah. And that's what I choose to focus on. That's what I choose. That's what I'm cherry picking, right? I want to cherry pick the good things and know what to do about the bad things. So, yeah. You love talking about the Torah, but can you educate us about the Talmud, says Fukes. Well, I've spoken of the Talmud many times. Ask a question, Educate about the Talmud. I'm not an educator. I'm not educated, so I'm not an educator. I will give you my thoughts. I'll spit out my opinion. I'll address a question, but to say educate us, that's giving me way more credit than I deserve. Would you have been in the side of Jesus or the Pharisees? Likely on the side of Jesus, because at that time, when the Second Temple was about to fall, the baseless hatred and the infighting and the division was so great and so disgustingly... Even the Essenes, the Essene Nazarites, relocated from Jerusalem to the Judean desert because they said, whoa, we're getting the hell out of there. We'll show up for the 3 pilgrimages, right, and the 3 festivals at the temple, but otherwise it's to the Judean desert with us. I think they made the right move. I think that I would have probably followed Jesus as opposed to the Pharisees. Again, a case-by-case basis, right? Give me the argument, give me the scenario, and I'll tell you what I would have done. But basically, I think I would have been on the side of Yeshua at that point in time, because there was just too much division. And from what I could gather in the gospel, and I've only read it once, it seems that he really wanted to bring people together. He wanted people to be humble and follow God and live a righteous life, forsake their negativity and pick up their burden, right, their cross, and bear it. And follow him. Not necessarily as a God, but follow in his footsteps. Do as I do. So I think, depending on the scenario, there's a good chance I would have been on his side. Let's continue here. In the lovely chat, I would have killed Jesus, says BU3DON, or 0N. Okay, maybe. Maybe. Who knows? Based, says Narvison. Look, it's like, see, based. I'm basing this on things that happened so many years ago. Far be it from me to say exactly what I would do. But that's what I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. I would have to actually go through the experience. What's your opinion on the fact that we kill animals and take their life? Because them paying just for taste. Well, I'm vegan, so I think you know my opinion on that just from that. We can get all nutrients from ovo-lacto-vegetarian sources, milks and eggs. Yes, Shiva, I'm vegan. I don't partake of any animal products because I believe in the Edenic mindset. I believe that we all should be... I believe that I should be I could incorporate elements of the Edenic life into my life, and that's what I try to do. With the Nazarite chip, for instance, it's very Edenic. With veganism, very Edenic. The relationship I have between me and my God is very Edenic. The relationship I have with my woman is very Edenic. So I'm definitely inclined to agree. I'm against the agricultural farming thing. I understand that it's a necessity and that's how society now functions. Okay, what's done is done. But I'm thinking if you're going to kill an animal, at least look it in the eye when you take its life. Have that exchange, have that respect. Which is why my brother, for instance, my elder brother, is a hunter. He hunts and he takes care, he butchers, right, the animal, and he eats the meat and he dresses it and he does all of that. That I respect. That I truly respect. I have no real respect, and I understand once again the necessity, modern day living, I have a lot less respect for people who go to the supermarket or the butcher shop and they buy the meat there. It's like, give the animal the respect it deserves when you take its life. So that's what I think. Veganism is the way to go. Veganism, not for everybody. Some people can't do it medically. Some people can't do it culturally, I guess. I don't know. I'm not saying everyone should be vegan. I'm saying that for me, spiritual veganism, physical veganism, it goes hand in hand, A, with the Nazarite ship, B, with the Torah, regardless of the Nazarite ship, and C, with the Edenic life. Right? That sort of Edenic life. Now, obviously, we can't bring all of the elements of Eden into this life. We were cast out of Eden. So we can't very well bring it all here. There are elements, however, that I can try and incorporate into my life, and I try to do that earnestly, in good faith, all the while knowing that, yes, I'm here, I'm not in Eden, but that's where we're shooting for, right? That's the goal of phase 1, to arrive back in Eden. So that's my opinion on that. As for getting all the nutrients, I supplement B12 regularly. I supplement vitamin D occasionally when it gets a little too low. I have my blood drawn. I take a blood test every single year. Around this time, actually, I need to do it in about a month. In order to stay healthy, if I'm deficient in something, right, I take a supplement, I get it back, right, or I put something into my diet for a month, whatever the case may be. But yes, I agree, we can get all the nutrients from other sources. So that's my opinion on that. It's been almost 2 hours. Should I keep going? Yeah, I'll keep going a bit more. Do people convert to Judaism, M. Boss asks. Yes, people do convert to Judaism. Not many, because Orthodox Judaism actively discourages nowadays, and for a long time, actively discourages converts. We famously turn converts away several times, and they say, I want to be Jewish. Nope. I want to be Jewish. Nope. I want to be Jewish. Nope. At least 3 times, if not more. Now, there's a dispute and a controversy, a difference of opinion, a machloket on whether or not that should actually be the case. There's a difference of opinion on whether the modern-day Orthodox conversion should take as long. It takes years to be Orthodox converted. But yes, people do convert to Judaism. And not only Orthodox Judaism, there's Reform Judaism and Conservative Judaism, Reconstructionist Judaism, all different types of Judaism. Now, some Orthodox people don't consider that to be real Jews. Some people don't consider Messianic Jews to be real Jews. I take a very, very clear, you forsake your pagan gods, forsake the pagan worship the one Hebrew God, keep the Torah, keep the commandments, that's it. You're a Jew. But of course, that's just a general statement, Hamashiach al-Hazayin Sheli says, Gshidsk. Voila. The Messiah is on my penis, he says. Well, yeah, I'm inclined to agree, because some people put too much stock in the Messiah to such a degree that they don't focus on the here and now. So they sort of lose their life to something that is right now not quite here yet. And that is iffy. Should that life be lived? Is that a life that is worth living, It's like, no, you should think that you should be the anointed one. You should live your life in such a way where it would be you who would be singled out of everybody and anointed. Not even if you won't be, that's the type of life you should want to lead. This ideal, righteous, just life. Very simply, very humbly, in righteousness, What do you think about the destruction of Gaza? Okay, cool asks. I think you've been here before. Haven't you asked this already? What do I think? I think that the Hamas brought it on themselves, but that innocent people have been killed on both sides, and that it's a shame, it's a tragedy that innocent people are dying, but it's the nature of war. So maybe if Hamas lays down its arms and surrenders, the war can end and we can make peace with our Ishmaelite cousins. Fred Ucker says, do you actually have to get circumcised if you're already circumcised? No. There is the opinion that you do need to let some blood. In other words, a tiny little prick, pun intended, a tiny little prick to let out some blood, and that's it. Because the blood signifies the covenant, right? The covenant is a covenant of blood, so and of flesh. So you don't need to get re-circumcised because you have no foreskin. You don't need to cut something that's not there, but you do, according to some, need to let out a little bit of blood. Some people say, no, if you're circumcised, that's it. For whatever reason, whether it was because you were Muslim, whether it was because it was medically, you had phimosis or whatnot, and the doctors had to chop it off, whether it was like an aesthetic decision, nothing to do with religion. So some people let some blood, some people just leave it as is, but no, you don't need to get circumcised if you're already circumcised. Ask Spud said, Thick Spud. So I guess the whole debate boils down to which person that wrote it down do believe wasn't lying the most, and hoping that your faith is correct, not hating them all, just agnostic, so I don't know which sky papa. Okay, well, let's put it this way. I dig agnosticism. It's not my cup of tea. This is. But I dig agnosticism. I do. I understand a little bit from what it's about. I haven't studied it extensively. But I get what it's about, kind of, and I get those who go with it. As for which wasn't lying the most, that's the right way of looking at it. Because, right, tell the truth or at least don't lie. It's like, right, like Dr. Peterson says, tell the truth or at least don't lie. We don't always know what is true. We do know what is a lie, right, in so far as we are concerned. And the same thing applies to the faith and the organized religion, I suppose. You need to discern. You need to use caution and discernment to figure out what it is that you want to do, how it is that you want to lead your life. Nobody else can live this life for you. Nobody else can be you. There's only one you. There's no other you. That's it. That's the existential nightmare that you need to live with, you out there. There's only one you, so make a decision. Make a decision. Britain caused the problem in Gaza, says John China. So yes, there is that idea of the Brits and the British Mandate of Palestine wreaking havoc on everybody and then just waltzing out and leaving us to mire ourselves in our own horrible ways. On the other hand, the British Empire did a lot of good at the time. The British Empire took over after World War I, after the Ottoman Empire was, removed. It's like they didn't know what to do. It was a hot potato. It's still a very hot potato. So, do I blame the British for doing what they did? I don't know. I mean, the Brits were Brits. The warfare, the ideological, spiritual battle was raging for a long time, way before the Brits took over, way before the Ottoman Empire took over, for that matter. So to say that the Brits are to blame, you'd have to give me good cause. You'd have to show real good cause how the Brits are to blame. Could you read Isaiah chapter 53? Yes, I know Isaiah chapter 53. All the Christians say, Isaiah chapter 53. No. I don't think anything about Isaiah chapter 53 other than the fact that all prophecies point back to Torah. It makes no difference to me, not a lick of a difference, if they're talking about a suffering servant. The nation of Israel has been likened to a suffering servant. Individual people have been likened to suffering servants. So it makes no difference to me who is pierced and how and who is betrayed. These are all prophecies. Prophecies point us back to the law of Moses. Prophecies point the Hebrew men and women back to Torah. And in the Torah, there is no Jesus Christ. In the Torah, there is no God incarnate. In the Torah, there is the idea of the permission to anoint a king and to go by his law, and that the king should be subject to the Most High. That's what it says in the Torah. So it doesn't matter what prophecy you bring, what scroll you dig up, what verse from the Psalms it doesn't matter. It all points back to Torah. That, to me, is the essence of this conversation. So I will not read Isaiah 53, certainly not hear out loud the whole thing. I know the Christian argument, the Messianic argument for Isaiah 53. People have this stupid argument that it was this forbidden chapter and it sort of slipped through the rabbi's fingers and made it to the Bible anyway, even though they were very discerning and left certain things out and left other things in responsibly, exactly, precisely. So I don't know how you can claim that it's a forbidden chapter, that, no, it's a forbidden chapter about Jesus. I don't think that's the truth at all, but hey, that's just my opinion. It's absolute dog shit. So you don't have to believe me. It's just my opinion. So, Christian Nandragel, sorry, I will not be reading Isaiah 53, but I'll give people the gist. Isaiah 53, according to those who follow Jesus, is speaking about Jesus and saying that he's the Messiah, and they're pointing to the crucifixion and to the suffering, and they say that there is proof that Jesus is God, Jesus is Messiah, Jesus is the Lord and Savior, Jesus is the one who redeems us all, and I, as a Hebrew man who tries to follow Torah, say is no. That's it. That's where it goes. Okay, on that note, I will end. People, I'm sorry if I missed your comments in the chat. Please do leave a comment on this video or a different video. I answer each and every comment that I get. I take time to do that because your comments mean a lot to me. So if I missed what you said in the chat, do not be discouraged. If you want to hear me ramble and rave and rant, leave a comment. I will something. Okay, we're good. So I want to thank you for your time and your kind and gentle attention. I appreciate it. The subs, the likes, the views, the dislikes, the haters and the naysayers and the ones who say I need to kill myself and the ones who say they can smell me from wherever they are, the ones who say I should shower, the ones who say I should shave, the ones who say, oh my God, what is this? What awful specimen of humanity? The ones who give their love, the ones who give positive vibes, the ones who engage me in the chat, the ones who keep me on my toes, the ones who challenge me, the ones who push back, the ones who just want to say hi. All of this is near and dear to me, and I cherish the engagement that we have here. I don't take it for granted that you take time out of your day, out of your life, out of your busy schedule, and I don't doubt that it is, to be here. Those watching now, those watching later, it's so much fun. It's so lovely and magical and inspiring for me to be here with you, to stream with you live and raw from Jerusalem. It's a prophecy that is being fulfilled even right now as I'm speaking, and I thank you for being a part of it. It's no small thing, not in the least. So until next time, hopefully tomorrow, but I don't know, be blessed, be a blessing, right? Be the light in other people's lives. Until then, be well. Good night from Jerusalem. See you around.